Hi guys, this is Bill from Spencer1984.com with the final update to the Green Hornet Black Beauty. I've got the body painted with some Tamiya TS14 and it's had plenty of time to gas out now, so it's time for the final assemblies. First of those is going to be the windshield. That pretty much just snaps into place. Another nice little detail of this kit is they've got the glass so that once it's in place, the wing windows will actually sit flush with the frames. So that's pretty much set, but I am going to give it a little bead of some clear part cement. Not a whole lot, just enough to kind of tack it and make sure it doesn't move. So run a little bead up here in the top corners. Don't really need a lot of it because it will wick between the glass and the roof. As long as I get it right up against that gap, it'll draw itself where it needs to go. Do the same along the bottom here. And that should hold nicely. So now taking a look at the rear window, to get that deep recess, they've got this all cast as one piece, including the tulip panel, so make sure you paint that body color, not top color. And the glass fits in there just as good as the windshield, nice tight fit all the way around, ends up being flush fit, and also fits to the roof just as nice as you'd want. Just line it up, drop that in, it's got a nice lip right there across the bottom to hold it in place. And for that, I'll be using some Tamiya extra thin cement. And I'm going to hold the window right here in the middle so I don't accidentally get glue on the hands and spread that around. And a little bead right across that lip at the bottom. So now I'm going to give this some time to set up, and then I'll be back to put together the rest of it. Windows are all set, got a couple other little pieces on, and we're ready for the final assembly. But before I do, here's step 5 where you're putting in the windows, and then flip the page, and page 7, the body is complete with you putting everything together. You didn't miss a step though, because flip the page again, and 8, 9, 10, and 11 are you putting together the front of the car, and 12 and 13 are putting together the rear of the car. So a little bit of a screw up with the instructions there. And also, despite what they say, you don't want to attach the interior to the chassis because these tabs are what set the alignment for the body and interior. You can see here on the interior, you got those two little holes in the corner. So if you try to put this on the chassis first, you're not going to get things to line up the way they should. So I'm going to pop this in, get it in past the rockers. And we're going to line up those little pegs with the holes at the corners. Now once things are lined up, I'm just going to give it a little bit of pressure. And there you go. That is how you want the interior to look once it's assembled. You can see it's nice and tight to the windshield, and it's fully seated on both pegs. You go around back, and you can see that's nice and tight to the tulip panel there that we installed earlier. Now the chassis goes on these 4 pegs just above each wheel. And taking a look at that, these here are the sockets that you want to use. And tolerances are really tight here, so that's why you want to make sure the interior is fully seated before you try to put this in. Otherwise, it will not fit. And even with everything seated properly, it can be kind of a pain to get it together. Set. No, it's in, but I missed the pegs. Shoot. You can see the wheel openings don't line up between the body and the chassis. And what I've got is I've got the sockets just behind the pegs on the body. I'm going to have to pull this apart and try again. There we go. Now that's seated where it belongs. You can see the wheel wells line up between the body and the chassis. See how far seated that is. And just give it a little press, make sure that it's fully in there. And this is what you're going to want it to look like from the side. The sides of the chassis are fully tucked up behind the rockers there. And wheels are fully seated in the openings. Take a look at the front wheel. The very top of the tire is just behind that lip, and you're only getting a little bit of a sliver of the rear wheel. Now, it does take a little bit of monkeying around to get that all together, but as you can see, it does fit really nice once it is all together. So, ready to put on the final details. I'm going to start with the grill here. I've got the little bottom door there closed up, and I'm going to be putting that in with some tacky glue. That's how I usually put all my chrome parts together because it will not fog, but it holds nicely. And just going to run a little bit of a bead around this opening here. Sides, and that's the other nice thing is if you mess up, let's just wipe it off real quick, and you're not risking any damage to the paint job. So take a grill and clean it up, drop it in there. Make sure that's fully seated. That's how that looks. Now we've got to put in the side grills, and they are marked different side to side. So what I did, I just took a fine magic marker and wrote the part number on the back, so that way I could keep straight which one was which. So we'll apply a little bit of tacky glue to that surface right there. And we'll take our grill here. And just drop that right in there. He said, trying to line it up. There we go. So that's how side one looks. Do the same thing to the other side. A spot of glue. And we take our second grill here, also labeled. And once again, it's requiring a little bit of wiggling to get it in there. There we go. Alright, so got our two grills in. Those are looking pretty good. Do the same thing for the headlights. Get some glue on the edges right there. And we'll take first headlight. I went with the quad lights on this. I just happen to like the look better, but no other reason besides that. Glue up the second socket. Both sides there. And Bring in our second headlight assembly. And again, drop that in. Push to get it seated. And it's starting to look like the Black Beauty. I do like the look of that front end. So now we got to put on the front pan. And like with the rest of the kit, I went with everything closed up. And these also have left and rights. So just make sure you do a test fit before you go to install. Yeah, shouldn't have put the grill in yet, because that gets in the way. Yeah. Oh. All right. Well, boys and girls, that's why we use tacky glue. So you can just rip that right out. Doesn't harm anything. Now we can put the front pan in. And that just snaps into place. Now we get to put the grill back in again. Aside from no risk of fogging the parts, I do like the tacky glue for this, just in case something goes wrong. Mr. Murphy, or your own lack of foresight rearing its ugly head. Doesn't damage the paint, doesn't damage the plastic, and we can get things put back together with really not too much fuss. Get that grill pressed back into place. Make sure everything there is seated. And yeah, we're good. Good. Now just for the back pan. After that, same deal with the doors. I went with the V194 license plate. And again, left and right, so do your test fitting. So we'll set this in. Oh, not there. Not there. Set it in. There we go. And there we go. The Green Hornet Black Beauty is now finished. I'm going to give this a final polish and wax, and we'll be on to some beauty shots.